Welcome to History Explained, where we illuminate the past to better understand our present. I'm your guide for this weekly journey, 7 days of global change in under 7 minutes. Today is Sunday, June 29, 2025, and this is Military History, where we examine the strategies, flashpoints, and defense decisions shaping the balance of power in our world. This week, history echoed loudly, from the mountains of Eastern Europe to the waters of the Pacific, reminding us that the legacies of conflict never disappear. They evolve. We begin in Ukraine, where on June 24, military officials confirmed the successful deployment of US-supplied long-range ATACMS missiles against Russian logistical hubs in occupied Crimea. This marks a significant shift in battlefield capability. The strike reportedly disabled a key railway junction used to transport ammunition into southern Ukraine. Military historians have drawn comparisons to the Allied use of precision rail bombing during the Normandy campaign. Just as logistical choke points defined World War II offensives, today's long-range strike warfare shows how control of supply lines remains a decisive factor in modern conflict. Meanwhile, in the South China Sea, tensions flared again as a Chinese Coast Guard vessel collided with a Philippine resupply boat near 2nd Thomas Shoal on June 27. The incident, the third in just 2 months, has reignited concerns over gray zone tactics, where military objectives are pursued through non-military means. Analysts have compared this to Cold War, salami slicing, strategies used in Berlin and the Arctic, where power was projected one increment at a time. The stakes now are maritime, freedom of navigation, territorial integrity, and great power deterrence. In Sudan, the humanitarian situation in West Darfur deteriorated rapidly this week as rapid support forces launched what UN officials described on June 26 as coordinated ethnic violence in El Geneina. Satellite imagery released days earlier showed scorched neighborhoods and mass displacement, reminiscent of the Janjaweed campaign of 2003-2004. The tactics haven't changed much, nor, tragically, has the global paralysis. This isn't just a civil war. It's a generational failure to enforce the norms born from Rwanda and codified in the responsibility to protect doctrine 2 decades ago. Back in Europe, NATO began its largest cyber defense simulation to date, Operation Firewall Sentinel, on June 25. The drill spanned 22 member states and focused on simultaneous attacks against critical infrastructure, including financial systems and satellite networks. Defense officials stated the exercise was non-hypothetical, in light of recent Russian and North Korean-linked cyber incursions. Cyber warfare, once an abstract frontier, is now a fifth domain of conflict, alongside land, sea, air, and space. Just as the Cold War introduced mutually assured destruction in nuclear doctrine, today's arms race may hinge on digital denial and resilience. And finally, in Sarajevo, an extraordinary event took place on June 28, the anniversary of Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination. For the first time, military cadets from Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia, and Montenegro marched together in a joint peace parade. The symbolism was deliberate, a show of reconciliation in the city where World War I was sparked. It recalls the Franco-German cooperation in the 1960s, when former enemies marched under a shared European flag. It's a reminder that while wars are written in fire, peace is etched in courage. From missile strikes in Crimea to maritime tension in Asia, from cyber war games to ancient enmities reimagined, this week showed us that military history isn't just what's behind us, it's what's still being written, one decision at a time. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Military History. If these stories helped you see today's conflicts through a wider historical lens, subscribe, share, and let us know in the comments. Which of these flashpoints do you think future historians will mark as turning points? Tomorrow, we wrap up our weekly cycle with innovations and inventions, the breakthroughs changing how we live and fight. Until then, I'm your guide for History Explained, where understanding yesterday is the key to navigating tomorrow.